Are you a bit cold?
It's a bit chilly.
Oh,
Should we get a coat?
let's get lots of coats.
Let's make lots of coats.
Channel. I'm Nikki.
And I'm Rachel, and we're the Stitch Sisters, and we are bringing you the 8th and final part in our spring and summer trend series. We hope you've enjoyed them up until now. We've really enjoyed doing them, but we're ending on what's probably our most favourite thing to sew these days, and that is coats and jackets.
Yes.
We both have an abundance of me-made coats in our wardrobes. The new season, I'm not thinking, oh, I definitely don't need any more coats. Instead, I'm dreaming of new coats.
Different layers, different weights of fabrics as well, so you can make spring coats, spring jackets, all the things that are on, especially with this UK weather. You always need an extra layer to put on top.
You do, exactly. And so spring and summer, you're going to need a coat just as much as ever, just maybe slightly lighter options.
Yes.
So we have looked at the key trends, or at least our favourite ones, and we're going to share those with you now. But we should also point out that some of the other trends that we've not decided to focus on in this video are really, really practical. So raincoats are huge. They are all over the catwalk, literally anoraks with drawstring cords. Literally cagoule style raincoats. Make them in a bright but vibrant colour, and you're bang on trend. So you can do that. The other thing that's starting to come in as we get into the colder months, or when we think ahead to autumn and winter 2020, is there's lots of quilted jackets and lots of puffer jackets and that sort of thing. So if you don't want to rush and make something for the summer because you're sorted but you want to plan ahead, then you can start looking at quilted patterns, quilted jacket patterns.
Oh yes.
So that's all very exciting.
It's all very exciting.
So the first of the trends that we've decided to focus on is, and you might have picked up on it so far, but it's our love of the 70s. It continues. So suiting is still huge, but what we've been loving seeing is a trend towards a more retro blazer, a kind of 70s inspired blazer. And by that we just mean slightly wider lapels, kind of longer line, but then slightly more fitted at the waist, often double-breasted, but sometimes single-breasted. Lots and lots of options.
And because it's a suit, you can go for the same fabric top and bottom. I love this picture of us in our purple and lilac suit, so I'm going to pop that up now. It just makes me so happy when I see that. I just love it. But this one that I love here is from Gucci, and I just love the print. I love the big wide lapel, it's a bold double-breasted jacket. There's no shying away from that, and with this wide leg flare trouser as well, I just think it's great.
And I love the fact that she's got a full-on shirt and tie and fancy shoes and everything. She's going about her business like a boss.
She's working lady.
Yes, she is. The other one that I absolutely loved, I mean, how could you not love, was this amazing suit from Marc Jacobs. His catwalk was such a riot of colour and retro loveliness. It's just amazing. So if you haven't checked it out, make sure you go and do that. But I particularly love this yellow suit paired with the lilac blouse underneath and the huge hat. It's just absolutely gorgeous, and such a gorgeous colour, just so vibrant.
Just joyful. So this one, you can tell it's Victoria Beckham just by looking at it. You've got the wide leg trouser and you've got the disco collar. But I love the clash of the colours as well with this kind of proper dirty brown colour that she's got on the shirt with the pale pink of the trousers. I just think it makes a real statement, the two colours together, and I love the jacket over the top. It just brings everything together.
Yes, it's really nice, and I love the idea of a patterned jacket with plains underneath.
Yes.
It's just, or you could reverse that. It's just a really, really interesting look. So the patterns that we found to help you represent these 70s blazer is not easy because there are the sewing pattern companies are often obviously quite a bit behind the catwalks, as you would expect. So you've got the catwalk, and then you've got the high street, and then the sewing patterns are fairly far behind the high street usually. But you can, in theory, take any blazer pattern and widen the lapel, but that is a little bit more of an advanced skill. So for those of you that aren't confident doing that, we have found a few that we think will tick the box. So the first one that we found is this blazer from Bird of Style. Now this is one of the ones that would have come from their magazine, and it was actually back from 2012. It was the November 2012 collection, but we just think the styling of it would be absolutely perfect for this trend. And with Burda Style patterns, after the magazine has been and gone, you can then download the individual patterns from their website. So this one is 11 as the month, stroke 2012 as the year, and then 128B was the code number. Obviously, we'll link to everything below. Their patterns are fairly reasonable. They're usually only about $5.99 in dollars, but they don't come with seam allowances. So what you will need to do is add those on before you you cut it out. But then if you're having to tape together your PDF pattern anyway, you'll probably have a paper background around those pieces that you can add a seam allowance
it as you
to
go
quite easily. But the reason we think this one is a bit more retro styled is because it's got that slightly wider lapel. It's kind of cinched in a little bit at the waist. It's got the flap on the pocket, and it's just a really, really nice example.
Another one we've got is a Nina Lee pattern, and we love Nina Lee, don't we? She's just a lovely, lovely lady, and she makes really, really stylish patterns. And this is the Richmond Blazer, and we love it made up in this cord because we think it's bang on colour trend, but it's also the cord is giving that 70s vibe. So it's a really great one, and you can add it to the Portobello trousers and make yourself a suit. So they do go very nicely together as well.
Yeah, the Portobello trousers is a really good example of a boss trouser. Leg box trouser. Several pairs, and you've got a pair as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And then finally, we've got a new pattern from Vogue. This is V1667. Now, I know this doesn't look overtly retro, but I think it's a nice modern interpretation because where you've got the slits on the sleeve gives it kind of a flared sort of look on the sleeve. And then you've got a flared trouser. It does have buttons up the front of those trouser legs, which is what gives it that more modern element. But if you imagine that suit made up in the bright yellow that Marc Jacobs used, then I think you're getting fairly close to that kind of silhouette. So it's a modern version with a slight nod to retro, and I just love it in that vibrant red. It's like that flame red that we mentioned in our colour series, but you could make it in any colour whatsoever, and I think it would be gorgeous.
I think it would be a good one for a wedding. If you were looking for something to wear to a wedding that was a bit special, but wasn't a dress, I think that would be really nice because you've got that detail with the sleeves. And I think it's quite dramatic.
Yeah, and the great thing about suits is that you get to get so much wear out of them. The trousers can be worn on their own, the blazer can be worn on their own, or they can be worn together to create a whole new look. So we just think suits are amazing. Takes a lot of time and effort in sewing them, but they are investment pieces, and they're the sorts of things that you'll keep in your wardrobe for a really, really long time.
Talking of investment pieces, the next one we've got for you is trench coats. Now this is the kind of sewing that if you are looking for a 5 or 6 day project at your sewing machine, and you're looking for something that is going to last you season upon season upon season, then the trench coat is definitely for you.
Yes.
It's not something to go at lightly, is it, Rachel?
Well, I made the eyelet trench, and that is one of the patterns that we're going to be talking about in a minute, and it has an awful lot of pieces, and it is quite intricate. It's very satisfying, but it is time consuming. But there are trench patterns out there that aren't as complicated as that, so it doesn't necessarily have to be a really difficult project, but if you go for one with lots of bells and whistles, then obviously it will be because those details have to be sewn.
Absolutely. So the examples that we've got for you go from classic to extraordinary, and we're going to start with the Burberry, and a Burberry trench is an absolute classic. I'm constantly looking for a second-hand one on eBay. Haven't actually found one yet within my budget, but they are amazing. Just that colour with the tartan inside. So the trend seems to be to take the basic trench and make it extra. So you've got extra long ones that are basically maxi length. You've got all the bells and whistles of buttons and different fabrics and bright fabrics and everything all mashed together. So we really love this trend, but this Burberry one is your classic Burberry trench, but they've made it maxi length. It's literally dragging on the floor. I would like to be her dry cleaner, definitely.
But yeah, it's gorgeous. So there's something about making it extra long that just makes it even more stunning. I'm not sure why, but it really does.
I can imagine it over a really long ball gown or something. It would just be amazing, really stunning looking.
It would be. So this next one that we love is actually by Port's 1961, and what I love about it is a really good example of the kind of embellishment that we've seen on a lot of trenches. So a lot of people are calling it not your average trench, and it's basically basically taking your basic trench and then adding stuff to it. So that could be appliques, it could be patchwork, it could be, in this case, they've made a panel on one side up in a completely different fabric. You could just go nuts with whatever you wanted to make your trench different, but we just think it's really, really interesting. And then finally, this one from Balenciaga has these huge shoulders, and it's in this amazing blue colour, this turquoise blue that we've been seeing everywhere. So you could put in like 5 shoulder pads to try and create the same structure, but it's just not your average trench. Just think trench and then think, how can I make this even better? The first pattern that we have for you is by Ready to Sew. It's the Jacke Jacket, and it is a trench coat, but it's a more unusual trench coat in the sense that it's a bit less traditional, it's a bit more casual. So it uses drawstrings in lots of places, which, as you know, is another big trend this season. So there's a drawstring in the back, there's drawstrings on the sleeves or ties, but what I particularly love about it is this back detail. You've got this vent at the back that goes into the cape, and it's just really, really beautiful. Simple, but really, really beautiful. And I think that looking at the details on it is probably a simpler construction than some of the other trenches out there. It's also maybe a much more wearable length for lots of people, because it's that kind of sort of just past the knee length, which I just think goes with lots and lots of different types of outfits. And if you don't want to be dragging your trench along the floor, then it's a really good option.
The next one we've got is actually a shorter length one. So this is the Trench Jacket by Trend Patterns. So this is mixing the trench coat trend with the safari trend. So you've got this detail of this big oversized pocket on the front, which you can add or you can leave off.
Imagine all the sweets you could fit in that pocket.
It's just made for lemon bonbons. So once you've got your sweets out, you can then decide whether you want the pocket on the front or not. And actually, without the pocket, it looks like quite a simple jacket. Because it's a shorter length, it's going to be much more valuable throughout the spring and summer.
Yes. The Dolce & Gabbana shows were all tropical prints or safari fabrics, and that trench would just fit right in on their runway. It really would. And then the final one we've already mentioned is my favourite. I have a love-hate relationship with it because it's the eyelet trench from Named Clothing. It was taxing to make. It was very long because there's so many pieces to cut out all of the fabric, the lining, the interfacing, just to prep everything before you even get to sewing. And then there's lots and lots of details to sew. It's very satisfying once you actually get to the sewing, but then you absolutely love it when it's done, and it's every bit worth the time and effort. And it is one of those pieces that you'll keep forever. So if you're looking for a more traditional trench, the kind of Burberry style, then the eyelet pattern is a really, really good option for you.
I remember it just took you days to even get the pattern cut out, didn't it? So
it did.
Put the actual pieces together as paper form, and then going on to everything else. Everything was just so long.
It was, but it was definitely worth it in the end. And if you want to know all the details, we did do a trench coat pattern review, so make sure you go and check out that video. And then the final trend that we wanted to mention to you is a trend for leather jackets. So this has been around for a while. So leather has been a big thing for a while. But what we're seeing now is a slight change in that there's lots of lovely colours. So there is still lots of black, and there's still lots of tan and brown, but there's also lots and lots of lovely colours. And that's everything from the pastel colours to the more kind of autumny colours like the dark green and the purple that we showed you in the colours video. So anything goes, but not just leather itself, but also those high shine fabrics. So it could be vinyl, it could even be oilcloth or something like that. PVC. So there's lots of PVC, lots of patent leather, that sort of thing. So anything with a high shine is going to really work well. And obviously you can go for whatever fun, fabulous colours you can find, because obviously as sewists we are limited by the fabrics that are available to us.
So if you've never sewn with leather or faux leather before, then go and check out our video, which we did last year, which is all about all the best tips and tricks and what you need to know before you get started to sew with your leather.
Yes, there's lots of different things you can do to help, and that video covers them all, from feet to needles to how to pin, all that kind of stuff.
All the tips and tricks.
So here are some examples of ones that we liked on the catwalk. So we love this red kind of blazer, red blazer from Altazara. A lot of the critics are saying that if you want to best in one leather piece, make it a blazer, because that's something that's going to last you for a really, really long time. But I just love the colour of this one. I love the cut of it. I think it's really, really interesting.
This next one hits all of my top to toe in the same colour buttons. So it's Brognano, and they have done this beautiful lilac leather. Now, if anyone finds any lilac leather, please contact me.
Need it.
I would love to make a lilac leather jacket and then just say lilac leather all the time.
Lilac leather, lilac leather, lilac leather. You can't say it more than twice.
It's stunning though.
It is absolutely gorgeous. And then the final one I just absolutely love. It's this kind of bomber sort of 70s style one from Marc Jacobs. It's in this amazing green colour, kind of almost teal colour. And it's just very simple. It's got quite a big collar. It's a zip up the front, and then it's got kind of elastic casing at the bottom. And it's that kind of, you know, bomber style leather jacket that you do see often. But I love it interpreted in this colour. So what we've done is we've found some patterns that will help you interpret these looks, but actually there aren't that many patterns out there for sewing specifically leather jackets. And what we thought we would do is, instead, for those of you that haven't actually sewn with leather before and like the idea of it but are maybe a bit scared, we will find some jacket patterns that actually have minimal details. Because the difficult thing when it comes to leather is stitching through lots of layers, especially when you're trying to do those top stitching details. So if you've got a jacket that's got less detail, it's going to be easier to sew. So instead we've just picked jacket patterns that, even though they weren't designed for leather, we think could work for leather. And the thing to bear in mind is that if you're a bit scared of it, don't go for anything too heavy. You want to go for something that's a little bit lighter and avoid anything stretchy, because that is going to make the process a little bit more difficult.
Yes.
So the first one that we've got, which I think is a really, really good match for the Marc Jacobs jacket, is this Emelia pattern from Sew Over It. And this is one of those that's available from her magazine. So I can't remember which issue of the magazine it is, but we'll link everything below. And basically you buy the magazine and then the pattern comes with it. And I just think that even though she's done it in this very sort of autumnal floral, if you can see past that and imagine it sewn up in a teal coloured, petrol blue coloured leather, it would pretty much be the exact version of the Marc Jacobs one.
Awesome. This next one is another really simple option, and it's Our Lady of Leisure pattern, and it's the hot toddy jacket. So we love this just because it is so simple. The only extra detail that you're adding are pockets, and you can always leave them off.
Yeah, they're patch pockets.
Yeah, patch pockets is really simple to add if you want to, but not too much fuss if you want to leave them off. It's unlined, it's just got a very basic lapel collar, but we think it would be great in any kind of solid colour, bright leather.
Yes.
It would just be gorgeous as an extra
I mean,
layer.
the fact that it's called the hot toddy coat means it was clearly designed with winter in mind, but that's what I love about sewing patterns, is that you can interpret them any way you want, and you can take a winter pattern and sew it up in a very spring summer fabric, and it totally transforms. The final one that we found is this Marty coat from Melilot, and we just think it's a really, again, an example of a very simple construction, and you could make this any length you wanted. So this is actually kind of a sort of mid-thigh length, but if you wanted to go for more of a sort of blazer look, then you could always just shorten it slightly. And again, it's got very few details on it, so it's just a very simple notched collar. It has got buttons and buttonholes on the front, but again, you could always leave them off. If you got to the point where you'd sewn it and you thought it was beautiful and you didn't want to risk buttonholes, then feel free to leave them off. It's still a great coat to just wear open.
You could just make a belt as well, couldn't you?
You
or
could.
put a leather belt round it.
Yeah,
you don't even have to
absolutely.
make one.
Yes, and it's just got inseam pockets, so they'd be really simple to construct even in leather as well.
Yeah.
So hopefully you like those as options if you can imagine them in leather. And again, if you're scared of leather or faux leather itself, then maybe think about one of those other fabrics. Think about vinyl, think about oilcloth, think about patent leather, those kind of more sort of sticky fabrics, which can be tricky to sew from if you don't have all the right accoutrements. But if you check out that video where we give you our tips, then you'll know exactly what it is that you need.
So that's it. We have done it.
Yes.
We have done our 90 gajillion videos all about the spring summer trends for 2020.
Yeah, we hope you found that really, really useful. We've tried to keep it very much from a sewer's perspective to make sure that you can go out and recreate those looks. One of the things that we love most about sewing is that the sky's the limit. Whatever you can imagine, you can make, and patterns are there to help you to create that vision, but you should just open your minds to different types of fabrics and reinterpret knitting patterns in different ways. So you don't just have to take inspiration from what's on the gram and what everybody else is making. You can take that inspiration directly from the catwalk. There's absolutely no reason why you can't raise the bar and aim for those trends.
And have some fun. Try something a bit different. If you've never sewn with leather, if you've never sewn with denim, now's the season to do it.
Yes. So we hope you've enjoyed all of these mini videos. You can go back and watch them as many times as you like whilst you're planning your spring and summer wardrobe. And we really want to hear your plans. So if our videos have inspired you to make something, please do get in touch and let us know. We would love to know your pattern choices, your fabric choices, and all of the details.
We'll see you again with another video soon. Bye.
Bye.